tell us something about your book?
Sure, that would be lovely. Before I begin, I would like to ask the audience a question. How much time do you spend on your phone on an average in a day? Can you tell me? कितना टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं आप फोन पे? Social media, Instagram. 2 hours, someone says 2 hours. 3 hours. Whole day. Yes, that's an honest answer. Right. So we are living in a time when constantly we are getting alerts, digital alerts, and there is a parallel life in the digital world. So when I started working on this book, I thought that how can we continue living like this? So this book has a collection of poems which will encourage the readers to focus on the present life that they are leading. That means be in the moment. Enjoy the now, not your past, not your future. Focus on now. So when you're eating, you can just eat food instead of looking at your phone. When you're talking to someone, you can actually look into the person's face and talk to them and not look into your phone or any other, or be worried about what will happen in this, this post, social, Facebook post, or that Instagram post. So this is the core message of noise cancellation, to live a life of focus and live a mindful life which will be more nourishing to your body, mind and your soul. On that note, I think, shall I read a poem from my book, Noise Cancellation? I will read the title poem, okay? And what is the next question? Deepshika, I think you can wrap it up here itself. What is the next one? Process? Okay, so I'll address that later on. So I'll read the, well, I'm a teacher, so I can't sit and speak. Please pardon me. So I will read the title poem of this book, and each of the words that I have used in this poem, they have only one sound. You know what's a syllable? Syllable is a vowel sound in a word. Say for my name is Jeelam. So how many syllables are there? 2. Jeelam. E-A. Can you give me an example? What's your name? Yuvarani. Wow, what a beautiful name. Yuvarani. So, how many syllables? U-U-A-Ra-A-E. 4. Okay. So, to reduce the noise, I have used as many less syllables as possible. Each word makes only one sound. Okay. So, here we go. Noise cancellation. Years pour new noise on palms that swell and spill. Bones bloom on strange beds. They don't fear the storm. Sea of rage, sick with a slab of glass. Slab of glass, our phones. Phones turn the key. Click, click, click. The birth of a sound. Ah, the whip of time, lost on a map of lies. Birds feed the blind sun, our eyes buzz like bees. I let go, I let go. I seek the slow pause, the quiet way of plants. Pale plumes float mid-air, dog-like I wait at the door of monks for milk and hugs. I learn to live mild, sit, eat, pray for a change, a sweet hint of spring light. Thank you.
That was wonderful, ma'am.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm going to ask you the next question. There are so many poems that you have written, right? And this is your second collection of poetry. So, how long has it taken for you to write this, and what has been the process like?
Yeah, thank you, Deepshika. That's a very valid question. Well, I've been writing since a long time. My first book came out in 2018, and I've been working on noise cancellation since 2019. And when I worked on my first book, um, a major change happened within me. I was traveling all around the country with my book. I met many poets, writers, and I was astonished to see how many people had given up everything in their life to become a writer. All they do is sit, wake up early morning, 4 o'clock, and they write, and they write, and they write, and they write. They're not expecting anyone to read. They don't have any salaries. And my idea of ambition and success changed. So from 2019, I understood that I was focusing on things that are absolutely unnecessary to live a beautiful life. I mean, what do you need to live a good life? You need love, you need food, you need some basic clothes, shelter. That's fine, right? Why should we always anchor after excess? So this book was a search for clarity. How can I simplify my life? How can I bring it down to very basic and understand my own existence? And at that time, I was looking for a pair of headphones, and I asked my brother, "Can you suggest me something so that I can listen to quality music?" And he suggested some headphones which has this noise cancellation feature. So the moment I heard that, it was like a moment of epiphany. Epiphany means it's like a realization, enlightenment. Like Buddha, there was an enlightenment with me. And I understood that, I have to cancel noise. And the title of the book was decided while this phone call was done. And then I started writing poems and writing doesn't just help. You have to give others to read. You must be ready to get the criticism. I faced a lot of criticism. I took them positively, improved my work, published them in journals. More than 30 poems in this book has been already published in national and international journals and anthologies. And then I got this book done so that I can help people focus on their lives and live a more meaningful existence. That's been my journey. And on that note, I think you would want me to read a poem, right? Yes, yeah, of course. So, I see many beautiful women in the audience, and some of you are wearing sari. I'm also wearing a sari today. This is my mother's sari. Wherever I go, I wear my mom's sari because I live away from my parents. So this is a way I feel like this is the closest I can feel to my mother by wearing her sari. And sari is not just a sari. It is a story. The sari knows what the woman is going through from morning till night. So one day I was watching my mother's sari, drying in the sun. She had washed it. And I was just watching the sun rays falling on that wet sari, and I wrote this poem based on that vision of mine. So here it goes, sari. 6 yards of soft wetness soak the forenoon sun. Cotton expanse in powder blue, filigree edges in fog gold, puff like sails in a sea wind, a voyage into endurance. My mother's sari is a scripture, a flag carrying countries of household truths. She in bed with children. She scrubbing the mossy bathroom walls. She in kitchen smashing a cockroach to its end. There's love and violence that only the pleats of the sari can tell. And now, so much depends on the bee-loud brilliance of the sari, drifting in fragrant droplets into the air, claiming its share of radiance from farmers, weavers, and men. Their curious figurines melting into a fabric ripe with moisture and a million perforations. Perforations means holes. The sari is so old that it is full of holes, but still my mother is not giving up. She's wearing the torn sari. Yes, keep moving. Yes, move ahead. That was my poem, sari. Yes. Yes, please go ahead.
Well, as we know that you are a lecturer, how do you balance your life as a lecturer and as a poet?
Yeah, I get this question asked very often. when you love something, you don't need to balance it. It becomes a way of your life. So I enjoy teaching. I hate the documentary work and administration work. I hope I don't lose my job tomorrow. So I love what I'm doing. I have two full-time careers. One as an academic and one as a poet writer. And I have over time I have become good at managing my time management. You don't need extraordinary skills. You just have to be very practical about how you use your time. And I wake up early or I stay late most of the nights, 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. And every day I read something or I write something or I'm editing something or I'm reviewing a book. So it has become like a part of my life, like you eat, you food and all that, which is regular. This is my mental diet, a diet for my mind. So that's how I won't say I balance it, I would say I enjoy it and I enjoy living like that. And thankfully I have a family which understands that. Because for women it is difficult. You have to do your housework as well. It's not that I have 10 servants waiting at home. I have to cook meals, I have to clean the house, I have to clean the dishes also. So I do that. And then I do this as well.
That was quite inspiring, and you have given us few tips indirectly.
Thank you.
So moving on to the next question.
Yes.
You are a strong, independent woman and an incredible writer.
Oh, you think so?
Yes, ma'am. What can young women like us can learn something from your book?
Oh, a lot. Okay. Let me be very proud of myself and say that there's a lot for women in not only in this book but my previous book as well. It's a difficult time, Every day when we open the newspaper, we see so many incidents of violence against women, and it breaks my heart. When I go to a function, I see the men eating first and the women have to wait and they have to eat the leftover food. And honestly, when a woman has a child, she is much celebrated in society. Then when she writes a book, the process is both equally torturous. Having a baby and having a book is same. But I'm sure the number of, thank you for that, the number of congratulations I will get if I have a baby will be 1,000 times more than me having a book. That is how a society is. Thank you. But what should I do? Should I fight every day? I can't. I love people, I love men, I love women. I'm a people's person. But we can negotiate. So women from my book can learn to negotiate their spaces. Don't take no for an answer. Own your existence wherever you are. Ask for it. If you want something, ask for it. You can ask the organizers how much I've been troubling them. When will my program start? When will I come here? There is no shame in that. So my book has all the women-oriented poems that I have is basically about telling women that stand up, because if you don't, no one is going to stand up for you. So please do it as soon as possible. And I think, would you like me to read something on that note?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have anything on mind, Deepshika, that you would want me to read?
How about your poem Lipstick?
Lipstick, okay, alright.
That's one of my favorites.
Ladies in the audience, do you love purchasing makeup? Or you don't love? Give me a yes, no. No, you don't. No? You must be buying lipstick. Oh yeah, we have people, right? Great. You buy lipsticks, right? Don't you? I mean, COVID has, of course, we wear masks all the time. But is buying a lipstick very easy? Is it easy? It's not. Now men might think that lipstick like how difficult can it be? Right? We just need to choose the color. What's the big deal about it? But trust me, there's a big deal. Okay. Because a lipstick is not just a lipstick. A lipstick is a symbol of a woman's identity, how she's perceived in society, about capitalism, how big corporations are targeting women, how your family will see you if you wear a lipstick and if you don't wear a lipstick as well, right? So here's my poem, Lipstick, and it's a satire. Satire means criticism of society or how society sees a thing, and it's written in a rhyme scheme, like the words will match.
Usually I don't write like that, but this one was written, and I wrote it for girls in a college. I went there to read my book, and I was very afraid that maybe young college girls won't like my serious poetry. So I thought, like, let me write something fun and enjoyable. So take it as an enjoyable and fun poem, all right? And be very attentive. I'm sure you'll like it. And ladies, please give me a heads up if you liked it or not. All right, lipstick. I was sad and sick, so I bought a lipstick. Brown it was, like the soil's infinite haze. My sister said, you wanna be the subject of male gaze. Soft was the silk of its rusty stain. In prints they promised, no animals were slain. I beamed like an ethical citizen. When the activist sneered, brands are brazen. In India, children burrow through mica mines. Don't you see their bones in the way it shines? I saw a color, a shade called femme power. But auntie claimed, painted lips are not for good girls. It's too wild, just wear white pearls. I posted #brown bullet, got 2,000 likes. Not one boy came on a date with my bike. Heartbreaks have been healed by this satin spread. It taught me to knife confidence like butter on bread. Wear it more often, beta, and you will find a man, said mother as she sauteed my pride on a hot pan. This was truly no innocent purchase. In poems and books, I will build my case. Until then, I remain a brown girl, allergic to pink, mumbling confessions to a sparkling kitchen sink. Thank you. We'll get to the last question.
Yes, that was like the realistic side of our world, and that's why it's one of my favorite which you have written. Winding up the session, last but not the least, which is your most favorite poem?
Okay, that's a tough one actually. So I have quite a few poems, especially there are poems on food and how food is a source of nourishment. So aloo posto, fuchka would be my favorite. And there are very short poems as well, only 5 lines. If you don't like long poems, you can read that as well. And they are of only 22 syllables. So not only do I like writing about a theme, but sound is very important to me. How does it sound at the end of it? So I think we will wrap up our conversation, and before I read my final poem, I would like to thank you all and inform you that my book is available at Amazon. It was an Amazon bestseller, which is very rare for poetry, but if you buy this book, I'm sure it will be a gift to you. And you can buy it from the publisher's website, or else you can buy it from the stall, though it's sold out, I believe. And I'll wrap up with the last poem, Ugadi Pachadi. Ugadi Pachadi is a poem where I compare marriage to Ugadi Pachadi. You know, Pachadi is full of flavors, sweet, sour, bitter, right? And marriage is like that. How many married people are there in the audience? Yeah? How many married people? One. Everybody, nobody's married here? Why are you so shy to say you're married? Okay, I'm married. Okay, raise your hands. So this is a new revelation. People are shy to confess that they're married. They'll be caught, huh? They're with someone else, maybe. Okay. So marriage is I see it as vibrant, colorful, full of different flavors like Ugadi Pachadi. So here it goes, my last poem for all of you, my lovely, lovely audience. Ugadi Pachadi. We wait for winds to curl our cup of sourness. Tamarind tales, sweetened by the crush of jaggery, exhale the simmering breath of summer. Marriage is like a raw banquet.
a surprise turn of senses. You never know when it's going to be too sour for you in marriage. Thank God my husband is not here. Marriage is like a raw mango, a surprise turn of senses. A fallen margosa blossom, weeping on the night we worship the moon, yet refuse the flourish of our nectar. We harden into peppercorns, fingers furious, tap the soundless heat of agitation. Our voice breaks into salt, white, grainy, afraid of losing hair, wings, and words. But finally, we melt into water, become the resonance of rivers, singing between distances, and hold a pitcher full of antique gold, swallowed by parched sentences. Thank you everyone. Chala dhanyavadam.
It was great to have a conversation with you. It was great to have a conversation with you today, ma'am. Your writings are absolutely phenomenal. Before we end the session, I would like to give a few details about the book for the audience. Noise cancellation book is available.